Hello everybody, how are you all today? I hope you're all well and fine and dandy and tickety-boo, and welcome to my first ever look at one whole year in my kitchen garden. Gosh, how can it be a year already? But it is. So this video compilation starts back in the December of 2017. It starts very slowly because I just had my knee surgery, so I was still on crutches through December and January. But you'll see, then things pick up a bit. So I think it's going to be a long one. Get yourselves comfy, get a pot of tea on the go, or something stronger if you fancy, and enjoy seeing a garden grow over the course of 1 year. Oh, my little body. It's nice to see you, Rusty. Hey? Are you all little? Well, I've got all the bits and bobs I need by way of veggies. Just some parsnips and some celeriac and some of the lovely cavolo. Oh, it's hard to tear myself away, but I must, because Gary's going to walk me out of here because I'm still a bit nervous about walking on these paths and he needs to go. I'm so happy that the the broad beans are doing really well. I was a little bit worried because we've had some quite hard frosts, but they seem fine. So I'm just taking a few minutes to drink in the lovely quiet, the birds, all the greenery. Enjoyed seeing my deck and fence again today after all that hard work in November. Gosh, aren't we lucky to have such gorgeous spaces to play in? Hopefully this will keep my little birdie friends happy. Like I say, just a bit of a temporary position at the moment whilst I carry on working on that fence and deck. But pretty sure my little feathered friends are going to these little feasts. So I think, oh, excuse the wind, it is really windy today. You can hear them all around chirruping already. I think what I'm going to do now is just go and take a quiet seat in the shed and sit and watch and see if any of them find them straight away. Just one final thing about the feeders to say is, sorry, I'm still hobbling. I don't know how quickly your birds will get through the feeders you've got hanging, but just bear in mind these feeders do need cleaning from time to time. You could probably make it part of a monthly routine as you're filling them. Also, if you see any signs of any of the feed going mouldy or going off, just get them emptied and get them scrubbed out clean. Have some, maybe just some separate cleaning stuff in your shed, you know, a sponge, maybe some rubber gloves. Keep yourself safe from diseases. But yeah, once a month, give them all a jolly good clean out and then refill them. Ooh, it's getting so windy. And sit back and enjoy the pleasure of watching the birds feed. So, bed 3, now this is where we have the big change. This year's bed 4 becomes this year's bed 3, and it's my rows and rows and rows and rows and rows of beans. Like I say, beans are so important in my diet that they get a lot of space on the plot. So I had 3 double rows of climbing beans, or 6 rows of climbing beans if you like. I had that whole bed of rock and core beans behind. In front I had all the peas. Big change this year. So let me show you bed 3 and you won't see many beans. Where have all the beans gone, Vivi? So down at the bottom I've got the broad beans, which are growing away beautifully. When they come out, exactly as I did this year, they'll come out and the cocoa de pampol will go in. But instead of being at this end of the bed, where they got shaded by all the climbing beans, I brought them to the front. Remember, this is the south end, so all the light. I brought them to the front so that hopefully they'll do a little bit better. Got rid of the peas, and I've got rid of all my rows of beans. They've all gone. They're going somewhere else. And instead, because the squash is another really, really good harvest for me, but they need space, what I'm going to plan this year, or this year coming, is I'm going to have 6 wigwams, quite hefty wigwams. So I don't know if any of you saw the bonfire video. I managed to scrounge some really long, quite straight, chunky trunks from the burn pile. So that's what they're for. So I'm going to focus on squash that I can climb. So I'll be doing the baby butternuts again from Shannon. Thank you, Shannon, because they were gorgeous, but give them lots more muck this time. But I might do some butternuts, I might do some of the citrine, some of the violina that way, but they're going to climb. And then the whole of this area is going to be underplanted with a brand new vegetable for me this year. So that will all be underplanted. But what are you going to do with your beans, Vivi? Because your beans are a staple. Well, you see these funny little squiggles here? These represent hoops and arches. Because it occurred to me that the space between my double rows of beans is completely wasted. I did manage to get a couple of pumpkins this year on the in-between space, but it was a real push. And in the other 2 rows where I also had pumpkins, they just didn't like it. So I've decided that I'm going to use my grass paths as the in-between bit for the rows. Because that grass path is going to be there anyway, it's never going to go. And rather than having a path on the soil, double row that I can't get between, path on the soil, double row that I can't get between, that's a lot of wasted space. So the plan this year is to plant, instead of doing my beans like this, like I normally do, I'm going to plant them down the sides, the length of these beds, then put my bean poles in, and then to form the arches over the top, because rather than having them, normally I would have them as a triangle. Now that's fine if I don't want to walk, but if I want to walk, my head's not going to fit through. So I want the poles to stay straight, and then I can either lash a pole across the top square, or what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start looking in skips and scrounging. My friend Jackie in Canada did it last year with hula hoops, cut down hula hoops. I think Rachel in Manchester did it with cut down water piping. So that's going to be a big change on my plot this year. I'm a bit excited and a bit freaked because I'm not very good with change, but I think it'd be really fun to, well, look, put it this way, it's going to open up nearly an entire bed for more growing for me. Yay! Obviously the plants in the sides of the beds, they're going to eat into the rows a little bit, but not hugely. So between bed 3 and 4 there'll be a tunnel of beans, and between bed 2 and 3 there'll be a tunnel of beans as well. I can't wait. I'm hoping it's going to turn into a bit of a summer Narnia with loads of kind of shady arches to hide under. The cats are going to love it, aren't they? Good afternoon, lovely people. On a very chilly day in London. Look, I can see my breath. It's only about 2 or 3 degrees out there, which I think equates to about 30 Fahrenheit for you that are in Fahrenheit. Now, I know that that's not cold for a lot of you who are experiencing some really big minuses at the moment. I'm just going to put my gloves back on. Yeah, I know some of you got it much colder than us. And just the other day I was saying we need it to get colder in order to kill off some of the nasties, but yeah, the cold has arrived. It's actually a gorgeous day though. It's really still, the birds are singing like mad, and I've just doubled up with all my layers. I've got 2 pairs of trousers on. Got my hat on. Look, for those of you who tell me off for not wearing my hat. So you will have seen in the tour a day or 2 ago my little walk around for the beginning of January. There's not a huge amount to do, but it's time to get cracking. Yeah, I love the start of a new year. It's so exciting. It's that thing of anything feels possible. Absolutely anything. You can dream really big, and then later on the practicalities hit in and you might have to dream a bit smaller. But right now, dream big. So let's go down the garden and let's go rescue some carrots. Right, well, hang on, let me get rid of my crotch a second. That has got all my rescued carrots out, which I'll show you shortly. And as I hoped, I don't know if you'll be able to sort of make out, the soil is just beautiful. I mean, it drove me nuts last year, riddling it all, but by heck, it was worth it. And here they are, the rescued carrots. They look an ugly bunch. Look at this one, I love it. Give me 5. It's crazy. Now, there's loads of damage, but there's still loads that's usable. So, if you've had a bit of an attack like me, it's quite probably you pull them out and think, oh, because they've got slugs and all. But don't despair and don't chuck them away, because there will still be usable amounts. Oh, I don't know what that weighs, but that is not to be sniffed at or thrown away. And when you consider that's the dregs of those last 2 rows, that's masses of soup for me. Yay! Well, it's going to be a bit of a humping and lumping day. I've got stuff scattered around the plot where it shouldn't be, so I need to move things. It was quite a few of the little jobs I wanted to do before surgery, but I got so distracted by doing that fence and deck that things got left undone. Everything feels wet and cold and slimy at the minute. Yuck. How many can I carry in one go? I'd normally try 3, but I think, yeah, it's so cold and slimy and slippy underfoot. I'm not going to risk it. I'll just do 2. Just means more trips. Annoying. Right. I'm also really mindful that the little deck is going to be slippy. It's not really intended for winter use, the deck itself. That'll be more for the summer, for sitting and enjoying. For winter it's going to be more about storing. I'm going to try 3 because otherwise I'll be here all day. Right, gird your loins, girl. Hoopla. We got it. We've got it. Huff puff, puff pant. Yeah, this is getting you warm. So what I was saying about never chucking any sticks away, no matter how small. I mean, look, this is so... I was just about to say, that's so spindly and short. It's even spindlier and shortier. But the thing is, you know, they'll come in useful for all sorts of things. That can just go in the end of a row to mark the end of a row. Remember what I was saying the other day about foraging for sticks and poles for the next year? Skips, burn piles. I've just spent an hour in our burn pile and scored. There's 10 bamboo canes. Obviously someone made something with them last year. It came down and they thought, oh, chuck it. I mean, it's crazy. That's a good solid bamboo cane. So I've got 10 bamboo canes. But what I'm really excited about is these branches. Now, they might not look much, and I have to say, they've got little thorns all the way along, and it's taken me ages to snip everything off. But the idea is, you can see they're quite bendy. They're quite sappy still. Can you tell what it is yet? Yeah! So I think these might be perfect for, for making the arches for my beans. It all seems like so much of an effort at the moment. But come on, let's get cracking in the garden. Next, super duper fun job of the day. Move the compost bin back to where it should be. Oh my goody goodness. Yeah, this is definitely going to warm me up. Oh, that's that wire thing I put the other day and I forgot. Oh, I'm just going to do it with my hands, it'll be quicker. day. That's good though. That's a couple of sort of slightly bigger, heavier jobs done. Now it's time to sit and watch the birds. Yay! It's one of those gardening tasks which really kind of makes you feel that, yeah, this year is going to happen. Bring it on. It's also one of those tasks that, well, you can't help but think of summer when these first salads are going to come out. And those simple meals that we make from our garden produce in the summer, where we just literally grab handful of this, that and the other, take it home, chuck a bit of olive oil on, call it a salad, and we're done. Brilliant! Right, that's me, all set up for chitting. Time for some bird watching. Another lovely day in paradise. Right, this is my last barrow on of Riddle Me Ree soil. Let's just shove that out the way. Like I say, I'm filthy, and because I've got, hang on a tick, I've got wide leg trousers on tucked into my boots. I look like I'm wearing some kind of weird +4s. But the bottom line is, when we're in the garden, who cares what we look like? As long as we're comfy and warm and weatherproof. Gorgeous soil is just an invitation to foxes and cats, isn't it? So, this is for no other reason than to stop digging and pooing. Grrr, cats and foxes. Oh, and the sun's coming out. Oh, it makes me want to sing that song from, is it Oklahoma? But oh, what a beautiful morning, which I can't sing for copyright reasons. But now that I've mentioned it, perhaps you can all sing it in your minds. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a something feeling. How's it go? Everything's going my way. Yay! I love my onion rack. It has been one of my most useful tools ever. And it's so funny because even before I bought the new shed, in my old shed I kept thinking I need some kind of rack for drying the onions, because the onions used to end up spread around everywhere, shelves, floor, table. So yeah, even before I got the shed, in my mind I was kind of thinking about all the different functions the shed needed in terms of storage of pots, tools, somewhere to sit, somewhere to brew up, and somewhere to dry my onions. So I got this done about a week before the onion harvest last summer. Thank goodness. And I was thinking it's just going to be an onion rack. So there we were, 3 or 4 weeks of the white onions drying. They were followed by 3 or 4 weeks of the red onions drying. They were then followed by about 3 or 4 weeks of the beans in their pods drying. Then they were followed by the flint corn drying. So it's been in pretty much permanent use since, gosh, when was it? I think it was about the end of August. So chuffed with it. I'm so chuffed with it. One of the reasons I'm mentioning this today is not to just kind of have some sort of schmooze with my onion rack, but it's one of those things to think about, either if you're getting a new shed this year, or if you've been spending some time in your shed in the last couple of weeks trying to make sense of it, because I know we all kind of shove everything in there in the winter, close the door and walk away. But if you've been in your shed thinking, oh, I need this, I need that, just have a little think about something like the onion rack or like the built-in shelves or whatever. And now would be a great time to build them, because essentially, where are we? We're right smack at the end of January going into February. We're still probably a good 6 weeks or so away from much seed sowing. And a lot of what we're sowing at the moment, or in 6 weeks, a lot of it's going to be sown at home or in our greenhouses. So in terms of out there in the garden, there's still quite a chunk of time before it really gets going manically. So you've probably got that 8 weeks. So yeah, have a think about your shed and configuration, and maybe, oh, I could do with this, I could do with that. Have a look in some skips, see if you can grab some timber and get building. And then when the season hits, you'll be all kitted out. Yay! First job of the day is to get all this gone over broccoli out. But before I do, I'm just going to rescue all the little florets that came as little side shoots. I mean, look, they're really tiny, but it's still a seed, isn't it? You know, a few of those. Oh, that one's almost gone to flower, but we'll have it anyway. A lot of the leaves have gone over too, but those that haven't, I will also harvest. And oh, hello little poppy. I'm trying to call her by her correct name. A little poppy poo. Yeah, so any of the leaves that are okay, and they can go in my gorgeous cabbage pie. The other day I was fantasising about having a fresh tomato, but actually, because it's gone so cold again, I'm back to just really enjoying my pies and general winter kind of stodgery. I'm not going to do much of this bed now, just this little sort of 1 foot wide section to the left of where the broccoli were. I am going to need to give it a bit of a tickle with the fork, because where it was bare over winter, should have covered it in cardboard, but where it was bare over winter, that surface has compacted a bit, and without access to, you know, heaps and heaps of compost to lay on top over the winter, or manure even, you know, it's been bare. Never mind, so I'll give it a bit of a tickle and then just get the whole lot covered up with cardboard until about the middle of March. Another of my little jobs today, and this is such a lovely job, is to have a quick whiz around the whole plot with all the bits of broken canes and start marking out where all of the new beds are going to be, the sort of beds within the beds. I love this job because it really starts to make me kind of see how this year's how it's going to be, but it's also quite useful in terms of, it reminds me, you know, leave that soil alone. If nothing's happening with it, just leave it alone. So, off we go, we're marking. Nearly. So this is my idea for trying to get the branches bent from the arches. I've just built like a little sort of semicircular frame of sticks, and then I'm laying just sort of slotting the branches down into it. Don't know if it'll work, but it's got to be worth a go, hasn't it? If nothing else, I'll have kind of woven myself a little, I don't know what, round fence. Oh. It's definitely on the chilly side, but it's been a good little sash today. I think it's definitely a day for simply enjoying how things look in winter. Gorgeous. Oh, just the little smattering of snow in wood chips. I just love all the sort of textures and the colours. There's still so much colour to enjoy at this time of year. Gorgeous. Oh, Bayek, it is parky though. This is a field bean. It's very closely related to broad beans, as you can see. And the whole point of these is, well, there's sort of two reasons. One is a lot of people use it for the nitrogen they give to the soil. I don't tend to worry about that too much on my site. That seems to not be an issue for me. But what I certainly do them for is to help with my horrid clay soil, and they help in two ways. They help over the whole winter, and then come the spring, hopefully we're going to have a spring. They help by breaking up the clay because they'll get turned in. So over the winter they do a fantastic job. All of this gorgeous growth is protecting the soil from all the pelting rain we get. That pelting rain on my site, as you may have seen in a couple of other videos, on any exposed soil, it just compacts the soil horribly. It's hideous. Oh, sun's gone in. I think we might get some more snow. So these gorgeous green tops are protecting the soil from the pelting rain. The roots are also helping to keep the soil open, again, so it doesn't compact. Beautiful. When I come to dig them in, I'm wondering if you can see on here, can you see the little nodes? So once I've basically killed the plant by cutting its head off and I turn them in, that's going to release nitrogen. These tops are going to be a lovely load of organic matter to get into the soil, again to help break that clay up. So this time of year, I'm actually probably a bit later than normal. I'd normally get it done by about mid-February. Chop the tops off as close to the ground as possible. That's to stop the plant growing, because I want it to stop growing now before it flowers and produces. I want it to stop growing. I want it to start wilting, so that then in another 3 to 4 weeks I can turn the whole lot in. So that's literally all I'll do today. But once I chop the top off, all this green matter stays on the top of the soil. So again, it's giving the soil some protection from the weather. It'll all start to wilt down and start to decompose. And then, as I say, in about 4 weeks, just give it a really light tickling in. In some places, I may not tickle it at all. I just sort of plant through that mass and then let the worms take the rest down. But what a great plant. Not only is all this protecting my soil from the rain, this is keeping my soil open. Of course, the plant is taking up excess moisture. The plant's taking up that gorgeous drink of water, using it to grow. Anything that it doesn't need, it's evaporating. So rather than ending up with sheets and sheets of plastic on the plot which just fill up with water, this is helping to get rid of excess water too. And it's providing a bit of an environment over the winter for all our lovely critters. This lot and that lot need to have their heads chopped off. Let's get chopping. Hello everybody, how are you all? Are you chilly? I'm a little bit chilly. Looking at my thermometer, it's 0 degrees centigrade in the shed. Oh, let's get comfy. And it's about -3 outside. But my goodness, it's gorgeous. I couldn't wait to get down here this morning. I was hoping that no one else had been because I wanted to do the first footprints. Yay! the worm population has increased massively as I've sort of kept adding organic matter, cardboard, what have you. I remember even sort of 3 or 4 years ago, I could dig almost a whole bed and maybe find 1 worm, 2 worms, whereas now it's pretty much every time I've put the fork in the ground. I try not to dig too deep, but I try not to disturb them too much, but as I'm not no dig, there is going to be a bit of soil disturbance. Hey ho. Look at the size of this one. Look at that beauty. Can you see? What a whopper. So I'm getting this, sort of like 2 or 3 like this, every time I pop the fork in. Isn't that beauty? Doing all that work for me. Thank you, pet worm. Don't stroke the worms, Vivi, they don't like it. You see, it's like how sticky it is. And then make a little ball. And now you can see, you know, that's never going to drain. This is why I need to add the organic matter. That's not going to drain. There's going to be no air in there. Without kind of mucking around with the soil in terms of adding stuff, I'm not going to get anything growing in that. At least it's done now. Right, let's go do some pottering.
Chuck, how are you? Yeah, how are you? Okay? Yes.
Aching.
Oh, yeah, I'm crushing all that.
Gary's nearly killed me. It's
You know
so
what I'm doing?
wet. No, I've literally done like 3 or 4 hours a day. How's things?
30 minutes. They put it back.
Enjoy your session.
I'll tell you what, I started off with 24 shillings to pay. Now I'm going to take 50. I've doubled the money.
So before I even plant them, I just like to lay them all out on the surface just so I can visualise my spacing. I'm quite a visually orientated person, so I just find doing this, I can stand back and have a look. I can imagine them hopefully at the height of summer, at their proper size, and then adjust if needs be. Good morning, wonderful, delightful people. How are you all today? I hope you're well. Yay, it's the beginning of April. Woohoo! So it's time for a little jaunt around the garden. Oh, and this is a happy sight. So I finally got the covers off the broad beans. I would normally have the cover off, a month ago, if not like longer ago than that. But because we kept having these dumps of snow, I just wanted to protect them. But I did really want to get the covers off because, let's get right in here, they're flowering. And I want the bees to be able to get in there. Oh, in fact, look, there's a little one. Oh, I disturbed the bee. Sorry, bee. Where's it gone? It's in there somewhere, I can hear it. It feels great to be getting this grass done. One of the great things about doing all the communal mowing is gorgeous clippings, which are the first mulch for the broad beans. Yay! Morning! Right. Onwards and upwards. Oh. It's just time to get some seeds in. Yay! It's always so exciting, isn't it? Here's the irony though. I'm planting for winter. So most of this, if you think of sort of the very late spring, early summer, early autumn crops, they're either going to get started at home because it's still too chilly, or in a few weeks direct in the garden. But I'm thinking ahead to winter so that when summer crops come out, I've got something to go in. So I'm going to do some favourites. So a bit of broccoli. I love broccoli, you know why. You cut that head out, you get all your little side shoots. When they're gone, you eat the leaves. Brilliant. It's a give and give and give plant. A Savoy cabbage, some purple sprouting broccoli, my Cavallo Nero, the Tuscan kale, and some Brussels sprouts this year. Don't know where they're going to go. I'll think of that when I get to it. So, I am a bit concerned that they seem really flimsy. I just hope they work. But all those, do you remember all those branches I rescued back in October and put into the frame to bend them? That bending seemed to work really well. Look at that sky, isn't it gorgeous? So it's basically a hodgepodge mishmash collection of willow sticks, bamboo sticks, branches from the burn pile. On the other row, there's another row here. I've actually got, you can see on the top here, and I love the little snarly gnarly bits. This is some of that grapevine that I pulled out of the tree. So I'm hoping these are going to work because they've basically freed up the whole of this bed for something else. I'm thinking I might have to give them some sort of buttress, so maybe a stake going down and out into that bed. But for now, I'm chuffed with that. Gosh, it took me ages, and single-handed I was having to tie knots with my teeth. It was ridiculous, but it's up, it's ready. It does have a bit of movement. Hopefully that means it's got a bit of flexibility. If there's strong winds, it can move with the wind rather than snap like those brand new bean poles did last year. But there we go. My kale sprouts are well and truly going to flower. Now this bed I'm going to use for parsnips, but I can delay taking these out and getting the bed ready for a couple of weeks, because at the moment the bees are loving these flowers. I say that, they've all disappeared suddenly. But if you have got some brassicas which are going to flower and you're not desperate for the space just yet, please leave them in, because the bees love them. And at this time of year there aren't a huge amount of other food sources for them. So yeah, leave them for the bees. A little bit of a fiddly job on my own, but fortunately today I've been rescued. I'm not completely on my own. Ooh, I panned around really fast because look who's here.
Hello, my darlings.
I was going to say hello, Graham, but you can say hello, my darlings, instead. So you're set to go?
Yep, we're all ready.
Now we should just say, all the kit lying around, all this guttering, this is absolutely brilliant. On Graham's house at the moment, all the guttering's been replaced. So he's been out on the scaffolding to get the mashed up old guttering to recycle it. Yay, loving a bit of recycling. So, that's enough chat. Yeah, that's enough chat, Graham. You're going to tell me in a minute you want a cup of coffee before you start work, aren't you?
No, I'm all right at the moment.
Work first, then coffee. Right, let's get to work. So this is the little section of guttering that's got the joint for the down bit in it. I've been shooed out of the way for the minute. Then we'll get some brackets on it later. Okay, no brackets. Right, let's figure out the next bit. It's going to have a couple of joints. We'll figure that out. Something like a bit of that. bit of that.
You're putting in the wrong place.
Shop.
We're supposed to come out here.
It's the one occasion when I can safely say my butt is too small. I can't stop making butt jokes. Gorgeous.
Just make that a bit bigger for me.
It's perfect. Job's a good one.
Yeah, that's it.
Right, is it time to go to the pub now? I've been talking about going to the pub for 2 hours.
You don't want me to carry on over and
No. That's a fab tool. So, Graham, if someone else wants to go and buy one of these extensions for your drill, look at that end. What's that called?
It's an old car.
Old cutter.
I knew you would love that.
Did you hear that, folks? If you need one of these, just go to your local DIY centre and say, "Can I have an old cutter? I've got an hole I need to cut. I need an old cutter."
I would have taken it down a bit more.
Oh, shut your face, I'll take you down in a minute.
You done me have some fun. I was having a go at me.
I don't know, you bowl up once a year
Yeah.
and just cause problems.
And get a load of stick.
Do you know, this year it'll be 2 years since we put the shed up.
Really?
This summer, this August, I think it was August bank holiday it started. I've got to say, I've loved every second of it.
Hey?
I've loved every second of this new shed, and even the kind of the fun of taking the old one down.
Now, do you reckon you'll be able to get in on that in one?
Get in here, you mean?
Yeah.
It's not so much me. All right, Tiger.
Yes, you can. So, how are we going to do this?
I need 2 more screws, please.
I'll show you how to do this one. Yes, if,
If I had a little pilot hole.
No, you can't use the pilot.
You hold it, I'll hammer it.
You got it. No.
Oh, I love the sound of splitting shed wood. Have you got one more?
Screw.
I've got another screw glue.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got a seesaw effect.
Hey?
There's a seesaw effect, but it's never going to be stood on.
I think you should have brought your jigsaw down, it would have been easy.
Does it unsnap? Don't, because otherwise I'll snap it and I'll break it and then I'll have to go to shops and get another one.
I have trouble always putting them on. Right, what you've got to do, you put it in there, like that, right? Good job. Like that.
Hold on, I should show everyone this. Hang on a minute. Coming in for your close-up.
You got it? And then you snap it, you keep on pushing it until it's...
Oh, it goes on, there's like a little lug.
like that.
You see, I'd have been trying to pull these bits off. You were setting me up for it. That's the wrong end.
Shut up.
All the snapping on that other end to seal it up, we've now got to replicate. Yeah. Hang it. Ow! And watch your finger. Right. That's that. So, there we have it. Guttering's up. My little crazy Heath Robinson old parts downpipe into my...
No water coming out.
Hold
No
on a
water
minute.
coming out.
Into my lovely slimline butt.
No water coming out.
And then, great. Oh, actually, what we were just saying as well is, just this little area in front, I'm going to get some more bricks for, so that when the I was going to say the kettle, when the watering can is sitting there, it's got something under it so it can actually just sit there, and I'm not sort of bent over holding the weight of it and hurting my back. So yeah, that's fab. Chuffed to get that done today. Hello lovely people, how are you all? I hope you're well. I hope you're having some fantastic weather to enjoy. It's time to go and get some seed in the soil. And now it's time to start one of my absolute favourite veg to grow. It's my chickpeas. So I first tried these 2 years ago, kind of slightly on a whim. Struggled to get seeds, so I just bought some from the health food shop, as in dried chickpeas for eating. They worked a treat and I had a fantastic harvest. So of course I repeated it last year. It ought to have been a good harvest, but the mice got there first. So this is what I managed to save. And this year I'm going to just try to time the harvest a bit better and beat the pesky mices to it. I well and truly conceded defeat with the carrots. Sown 4 weeks ago and not a single one showing. And it seems to be across the board on site this year. So, without further ado, I'm not going to think about it anymore, I'm just going to re-sow. Oh my goodness, it's the year of re-sowing, it seems. Yeah, it does feel frustrating to kind of be doubling up on jobs, as it were. You do a job, you want it done, and a few weeks later you have to come back and do it all over again. Never mind. The good thing is it's not too late to do it again. So, fingers firmly crossed for this little lot. Very simply, dib a nice hole. Find one of my little plantlets. And in it goes. Like I say, sometimes you need to twist them a little just to encourage the roots down. I'm going to do them about 12 inches apart, I think. Gosh, I'm so grateful to plot neighbours this year for sharing their sort of excess produce or seedlings with me. I really feel scuppered otherwise. And of course, I'll have some spares of squash and cucumbers, etc. So I can hopefully repay the favour and the kindness that everyone's done me. In you go, little one. So the idea of doing the alliums and carrots together is, in theory, in companion planting, the allium, the smell of the allium deters the carrot fly, and the smell of the carrots deters the allium leaf miner. That's the theory, but I'm going to use enviromesh all the same, just as a backup, because let's face it, every single plant in the garden this year is going to be precious. I can't afford to lose anything else now. Maybe this year's going to get going now. I hope so. There we go, that one's going to get huge, I hope. Surrounded by random calendula. Oh, happy days. Happy days. oops, seed tape, never mind. Oh, great roots, look at the roots on that, beautiful. Oh, look at the roots on that. So first of all, row of arches here and on the other side, and it struck me that you might be able to tell that I've always been interested in architecture because, well, look at the top of the bean arches. That's a Norman church for you, isn't it? And then, if I can show you here, I don't know if you're going to be able to pick it up, but can you see now I've got my flying buttresses as well on either side over there too. So here we have Norman arches and then medieval / Gothic flying buttresses, and also all the TPs are in now. Gosh, we're going to be into the sun, it's going to be very bright. Oh no, we're alright, aren't we? You can see. So they're chunky monkeys. What I'll do as well as hopefully is the squash clan, if they need, you know, a few more bits of support, I'll just lash some more little twigs and sticks and string across just to give them even more support. But I was joking the other day about it being a bit of an Andy Goldsworthy, and he is one of my really hugely favourite artists. Well, largely, I was about to say hugely again, largely because he works so much in and with nature. So whether it's dry stone walls that follow the curve of a valley and through a river, or whether it's with rocks or leaves, or it's absolutely gorgeous. So I think subconsciously I'm trying to be a bit of an Andy Goldsworthy. And here we go in the cathedral. There's the central aisle. So yeah, it's all pretty much ready for action now. Let me just show you down here. So all the beds now, they've all got the water bottles have been planted. All the various squash are gradually hardening off, and then they'll be planted. And once they're planted, I can then do all the direct sowing under each bit. And I think that's one of the other things this year is, although the underplanting will be quite random, I'd quite like to edge each one of these little beds with just a few calendula. And I was thinking about that, I was like, what is it with me and my straight lines and neat edges? I don't mind things being blousy inside, but I like my straight edges and lines. I don't know where that's come from. Maybe it's from visiting kitchen gardens as a kid. I don't know, stately homes, parterres, all the beautiful parterres in France. So again, with the herb bed over there, that's a similar effect I want to have, is that it has a neat border of lavender, and then it can be as blousy as it likes in the middle. Hurrah! Hey puppy! Oh, there's a little puppy girl. This one is one of my saved cloves from last year. It's alright, that's a usable one. And next to it was... Oh, this is another of my saved ones, I'm remembering now. So that's another of my saved ones. Again, perfectly adequate. And then this one is I'll show you them all together in a second, but that's one. I didn't have quite enough for all the rows, so I bought a garlic from the shops, split it up, and that's one of the shop ones. And then this now comes into the one from France, the Violette, that big bit. Oh, it is a bit bigger. It's not as big as the one I brought back from France. Let me just show you for contrast. So, shop bought, my saved cloves, the one from France. Oh, the smell! Oh, the smell is delumptious. Literally all I'll do by wait for storing is I'll just brush off the worst of the soil, and then I'll just literally hang them on that rack for a couple of weeks to dry out a bit. Either plait them or trim them down, and then they'll just quite simply be stored in a cool, dry place and used as and when I need them. Oh, happy days! Well, I've made my note of what each one is and who it's from in my little notebook, so that A, I sort of know what to expect, and B, so I know who to return all the different pots to. Right, planting tomatoes. So normally I grow cordons, which are the ones that go up, they climb, and one of the reasons I do that is because of they take up less space because they go up rather than out. Unfortunately, most of what's been donated to me is also cordons. There's a couple of bush varieties which I'll stick on the end. So, digging myself a generous hole, my Epsom salts. Oh, I've got. You don't need that much. Just literally a little spring thing in the bottom of the hole there. That's plenty. Give it a little mush in. Now, the thing about planting your tomatoes, especially if they've gone a bit leggy from being grown on your windowsill indoors, and this is not me making a judgment on what my friends have grown, because if any of you saw my tomatoes last year, you'll know that mine are considerably more leggy. So like I said, it's not a judgment, but pretty much whether they're leggy or not, I plant them considerably deeper, just to remove those bottom leaves that are going to be below the surface of the soil, because where that stem is below the ground, it will now form more little roots, which when it comes to the autumn and I take them out, I'll show you, because it's demonstrated perfectly then. They form all these beautiful little fibrous roots, and obviously the more roots the plant has, the more opportunities it has to take up nutrients, to take up water. So tomatoes are one of those great plants that you can actually do that with. Give it a bit of a firm. I can't get over how well the cardboard has retained all the moisture. So once I've got this this whole bed planted up, I'll get all that lovely chopped up chickpea foliage rubbish from the end of last October, and I'll spread it all over again to continue to act as a mulch. Right, one down, 20 to go. Yay! You know, I can't imagine my garden without tomatoes, so I'm so happy my friends have come good and given me their spares. Can you imagine not having all that beautiful tinker time of taking out the side shoots? Speaking of which, that one can come out. Yeah, that lovely tinker time of tying them in, taking out the side shoots, and all the while that beautiful, beautiful smell filling the air. So yeah, my garden would not be my garden without tomatoes. Rain, rain, go away. Come again in the middle of the night time when I don't need to be in my garden. Cheers everyone. The white onions, they're looking absolutely splendid. I've noticed they're starting to fatten up. I don't know if you can get a sense of that down there, but yeah, they're definitely starting to fatten up. Unfortunately, I think I had one that threw up a scape, sort of a flower stalk, so I nipped that out straight away, so hopefully that's rescued it. But the others, I think I have been watering them, so hopefully that's helped to stop them from bolting, because I know a lot of people's onions have bolted this year. The broad beans have been absolutely fabulous. I'm still harvesting, still a load in there to pick. I've been doing a big pick every couple of days or so. I have some of them fresh, but mostly they're going in the freezer. Look, there's masses and masses still to come. Masses of them. Gorgeous. So I will try to get these picked. In the next, over the next week, I'll get the rest of them picked. Then I will chop the foliage down, and in there will go the coco de Paimpol, the French bean that I do for having demi-sec. Yay, can't wait. It's so great. Obviously the vast majority of my garden is about the veg. It's lovely. I'm just going to see which way that looks best. There is going to be a front and back to this trough. So it's really nice to have my little plants that I've brought on to plant up like this, because it's sort of like almost an instant garden whilst I'm patiently waiting for all the vegetables to do what they're supposed to do. And the fact that these two, oh my goodness, that got so dry. Yes, I'll give it a jolly good soaking. The fact that these two are right on the cusp of wanting to flower. Yay! Instant garden, instant gratification. It doesn't, I think I'm going to have to stake that one actually. I don't know why it's rocking around so much. Yeah, it's not often as a vegetable gardener that you get instant gratification. And in with it, I'm going to pop this lovely mint. It's a pineapple mint, like I say, which I had, I'll be honest, I had a couple of leaves off in the shop and tried them. It tasted yummy. And the thing with mint, as we all know, or I think most of us know, is it's pretty rampant and pretty invasive. So with mints, you pretty much always want to be thinking about having them in a container, unless you want your whole garden in a few years to be a mint garden. I will give this a jolly good soak in a minute, because those geraniums were quite dry. Oh, here comes the sunshine. Some sort of little stake for that one. What should we use? There's always a bit of stick hanging around somewhere. That's why I never throw out. This is one of my willow sticks that broke, and I think, oh, and it broke again. Oh dear. Sorry, little plant, did I hurt you? No, I didn't hurt the plant. Just a little bit of support while it finds where to put its roots to. Lovely. Oh, happy days. It's warm, the sun's out, the birds are singing, and I've got a little instant garden to look at. This is very much another, might as well chuck it in, crop. This is paprika peppers to basically grow, dry, and then grind my own paprika. Again, I had absolutely, oh, wind's picking up, absolutely gorgeous plants. Don't know what's happened to them. I'm not even going to speculate anymore. I'm done speculating. Some folk have said it's too hot, some have said it's too cold, some have said this, some have said that. It's like, There's no rhyme or reason. They were all under shade cloth while they were hardening, so... Anyway, let's whack them in and see if they'll do out. Because I know one thing's for sure. While they sit in the pots, they're not going to do anything. So, suddenly feeling a bit close again this evening. Yeah, like I say, I'm getting to that stage now of just chuck everything in that I've got. I am going to actually sow a few cucumber seeds in pots just to see if I can get some to start growing soon enough to catch up. Because to be honest, the way the other cucumbers are, I might as well give it a go. I think that's the theme for this year. That's definitely the theme for this year. Might as well just give it a go, eh? If you don't give it a go, you won't know. If you give it a go, you will know. So, yeah. Oh God, it's got hardly any roots. Oh my goodness. That's been growing for ages. Well, never mind. It's like my granddad would say about a sweetie, you don't know what it is. Suck it and see. It's definitely the case with my peppers. Suck it and see. Oh joy. Oh joy, joy, joy. That one is going to sit where one of my celeriacs has obviously been eaten already. Yeah. I think that's the other thing about this year, isn't it? Gotta laugh. I mean, you know, it'd be nice to get fantastic harvests, great crops. But let's remember the essence of the garden. The absolute whoopsie, the pure, unadulterated joy of just being here. Let's see the veggies as a bonus. They're quite an important bonus for me, but you know, let's just change our thinking a bit and yeah, chill out a bit. Enjoy the garden just for it being the garden. Yay! Groundhog Day. Hey Rusty, you gonna help me sow parsnips? Oh, sorry buddy, did I dink you on the nose and the elbow? It's like Groundhog Day with the cats as well, every 5 minutes. Meowing for a cuddle or some food. Please work. Oh, goodness me. So my favourite little Coco de Pampour. Hang on a minute. There we go. Can you see? Just in case you're wondering at the spelling, so I don't have to do a little label on the bottom of the screen. If anyone's been following my Facebook page for the last couple of years, you'll know how much I have completely fallen in love with this bean, this gorgeous, humble little bean. It was absolute love at first bite. I was originally given 7, was it 7 or 10? I can't remember now, but literally a little handful of seeds from Gary, whose wife had brought them back from, she'd been on a culinary course in France, tried them, they worked brilliantly. So, one of the reasons I like them is, they're so ready to go out. You can also tell that from the yellowing that they're really, really hungry to get into the ground. Yeah, so this is, I think this is either my 3rd or 4th, I think this is my 3rd year growing them. And what I found is, touch wood, my head will have to do, the slugs seem to leave them alone. I've just jinxed myself, haven't I, by saying that. Germination, I get pretty much just looking, I think, of all the pots I sowed, one didn't come up, just one. So the germination is great. They're really easy to save the seed from year to year. I was able to not only harvest loads for eating, but managed to save so many seeds that actually I've been able to give them to tons and tons of friends as well. They freeze brilliantly, and they harvest prolifically, they freeze brilliantly. What is not to love about the good old coco de bambol? But more than anything, the taste. Oh my goodness. They have a beautiful, buttery, creamy texture. They retain a little bit of their bite, but essentially they're just, creamy. Creamy is the best way to describe it. So I use them in all sorts. I cook them up and sometimes I'll just have a little bowl of them as a snack. Gorgeous. But in salads, in soups, you may have seen I added some to my fasolada, my Greek bean stew. Oh, yummy, yummy, yummy. Honestly, I cannot think of a more lovely way to spend the morning of the summer solstice than planting these gorgeous lavender. Just handling them. Oh, let's have a bit more grip. Just handling them, their scent is coming off. And for me, it's just one of my absolute favourite smells. It's always such a sort of clean, fresh smell. Oh, it's just heavenly. First wee flowers are starting to appear. Aren't they pretty? So delicate for such monsters that are going to grow. It's one of the things I enjoy in the evening when I'm watering, is to just have a little look at all the flowers before they turn into veg, because they're so pretty. And I've just spotted behind here. Can I pick them up? Yay! Ladybirds are at it. Hurrah! Hurrah! Because there's a little bit of black fly around, so please do your thing, ladybirds. Please produce lots of little ones, and I think we'll give them some privacy, and hopefully they can get on with sorting out any of the naughty black fly. So pretty. Another of my favourite tinker time jobs is tying things in, giving them a hand. So where these squash are starting to climb, I'm just going to secure the string to the branch so that's good and secure, and then just tie it loosely around this stem. And what I love about squash, will it pick up? This is one of the miracles of nature. That, nature never ceases to amaze me. These fine, spindly little tendrils, they will eventually find the branch and then grip it with an iron-like grip. How can something so delicate be so strong to grip? So I think I will give it another little tie a little further up, just to stop it flapping around in any wind. And during that time then the tendrils can find the branch and cling on. Oh, happy days. See, they're really tardy to get going. Really slow. This is just some Scarlet Emperor runners, and then that might have been a spare Gigantes. And then I've got some Helder and some Neko down here. But with a lot of them, they're only just getting to the tops of... the arch now. I would have expected this 3-4 weeks ago. But you never know. They may all have a bit of a late spurt. I think it's one of those things, I think maybe this year we're just going to be having our harvests a bit later, but hopefully still having our harvests. That is such a happy sight. Oh, happy, happy, happy sight. They all look pretty healthy and happy. But yeah, there's about 160 plants in there, so I should, yay, have green stuff over the winter, and they can basically all start going out when, for example, the onions come out. We'll put a load of green stuff in. Whoop whoop. Oh, I'm so pleased and so relieved. Oh my goodness. It only took 3 sowings to get that. Okay, so when you're lifting your onions, you can see they only have a fairly shallow root system, so it doesn't take a huge amount of mechanics. Just a little trowel underneath pops them up. Oh, and the sun's coming out, how lovely. Actually, there does seem to be a little bit of moisture down there in the soil. Great. Some of them are going to be absolute tiddlers this year. I think it's all partly this whole lack of rain business. You know, plants just haven't been able to plump up the onion, plump up the onion. But quite often what I found is that when they haven't got to a huge size, that they really, really pack a punch with flavour. That's especially true of my garlic, which never get particularly big. They're always absolutely gorgeous and strong. So in this bed, I'm going to put in my lovely January King. Aren't they looking grand? So these were my prickings from my 3rd sowing. Just shows, don't ever give up. I would say it's not ideal weather conditions today to be doing to be planting things out, because despite our cool start this morning and overcast, it is actually getting quite hot and sunny now. Come on, tease you out. So because of that, there is a chance they're going to wilt massively. So what I'll do is, as soon as I've got them in, I've watered all the holes, but I'll give them all another jolly good watering, and then I'm going to put the shade nets over them, just so that it's not too many shocks in one go. But as you can see, pricked them out, how long ago was it? 3 weeks or so, and they formed really nice little plug plants. So in we go. Where are you going to be able to see? Nice soggy puddle that's been made already. I've said it before, and I'm sure I'll say it again, that the main thing with your brassicas is they need to be in really, really firmly. So once you've got them in and you think they're firm, give it another jolly good firming. Seems to be a day for building works all around the site and people strimming. So yeah, it's getting really quite warm. Nice puddle for it to go into. It's like the soil, look how dry. Goodness me. Get it in, give it a firm. When it's really firm, firm it again. I can't tell you how happy I am to actually be having some brassicas to put in. Just popping the beer trap on the end here under the lily, because it gets a bit of shade here. I want it near enough to where slug activity may have been, but not right in there with them, because I don't want to encourage the slugs to go into the tunnels. If they're going to turn up, I would rather them smell the beer and think, and drown themselves happily. That's the worst pint of beer I've ever poured. I'll have to come back in 20 minutes and pour the rest in. It's like an inch of head and a millimetre of beer. Right. Pesky slugs, have a swim. I'm delighted with how well these lavender have done this year. When you think they only went in a few weeks ago, but they've been giving me absolutely beautiful stems, and the bees are just loving them, absolutely loving them. But you know, what is not to love about lavender? Oh, shall we pretend just for one moment that we're in Provence? I mean, I can't think of many jobs in the garden that are more pleasant than this. There's no hurry. As I'm doing it, the sound of the bees buzzing all around, they're loving the herb bed. I'm so glad I got it started this year, and I can't wait to see it next year, once things really get going. But yeah, it's definitely one of those jobs to just lose oneself in. Apart from the sound of the builders over there. Yeah, lose yourself in the job and allow all the memories of place, all those memories that you associate with that lavender smell, allow them to just take you over. Oh, what a beauty. So many buds and buds to come, but so many absolutely stunning flowers already. Look at those, aren't they magnificent? These are works of art. Absolute works of art, and they smell utterly heavenly too. Oh, what more could a girl ask for in her vegetable garden than a little bit of frippery called a lily? Yay, a few more pods forming here. Yay! I think, considering how dry it's been, then I had that sudden black flight infestation, which I've never had in beans before. Yeah, I'm going to be pleased for every single little bean I get this year. Misty, misty, misty. Oh, lovely. This is what it's all about, isn't it? A bee nearly just landed on my hand. Oh, I'm getting a spray as well. It's gorgeous. Maybe I should just keep this in the garden for me on a hot day. I suppose if there's one upside to our lack of rain this year, it's that the garden's been quite slow. So not too much by way of weeding. Not too much of anything really, apart from the daily watering. Oh, yucky black fly, never mind. What I tend to do when I come to water is I grab a handful of this and a handful of that and make me bits and bobs of food for the next couple of days from it. Then every now and again, at this time of year, suddenly everything is ready at once. And I've got masses and masses of rock and core ready, so I'll harvest a load today, I'll keep some in the fridge to have fresh over the next couple of days, but a lot of them I will now pop into the freezer because I like to eat rock and core as the pod, not as the dried bean. Yum, 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 yum. Beautiful helder. I love helder beans. I don't grow a huge amount of beans for having fresh, but the helder, oh, they're beautiful. They're like somewhere between a French bean and a runner bean, but they don't have the horrid, tough, stringy edges. Yum, yum, yum. These will be absolutely gorgeous. Just very lightly steamed and then chopped up, maybe in potato salad, rather like I do the rock and core, or just even a mixture of these and the rock and core, just with a little bit of oil and lemon juice. Really, really yummy salad. Taste of the garden. I feel like I'm in the south of France. I can't get over the weather. I've come to a part of the garden. It's just a little bit more shady to gather a few bits of fruit. Look at the size of these blackberries, they're huge. Oh, so beautiful. The thing about this weather, it just seems to make everything sort of slow down. I feel like I'm in slow motion all the time, and the air is so still, and there's this really beautiful quietness that just descends over the whole garden. It really is magical. This ground, you can probably tell from my noises. Just to get the trowel in even is, it's going to be hard work this morning. But we're not afraid of hard work, are we? I would say when it's like this, just avoid the garden completely if you can, but if you can't, then do a bit of a job for a few minutes, then stop, go find some shade and top up on your water. The sooner I get it done, the sooner I can get in this shade and have a nice drink of something chilly. I think, considering the heat and the drought, it ain't looking too bad, is it? Oh gosh, it makes me so happy. I mean, it just makes me happy to be here anyway, but then to know that this is all food, it's crazy bonkers. I mean, you would do all this just for pleasure, wouldn't you? Never mind getting any food out of it. Love it. Loving how it's all so lush at the moment. Oh, well, it won't stay lush unless I water it, will it? So I think it's time to get a good soaking on here and then beat a retreat out of this hot, hot sunshine. Oh, it looks like it needs a bit of a feed, doesn't it? It's a bit pale. It's not quite as tall this year. But yeah, tassels there, cobs are forming. I think because it's been it's been a very remarkable year in terms of weather, you know, not just the heat, but the drought that's come with it, that I don't think it's going to be the best year to sort of try and make judgments or decisions about anything. So yeah, this may be small because of the heat and the dryness, I'm not sure, but it's growing, that's the main thing. And then look at my paprika peppers, aren't they crazy gorgeous? I don't know why, I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't really expecting these sorts of shapes. They're gorgeous and there's loads of them, so they're all sort of tucked under there under the leaves. So yes, I will have paprika peppers, woohoo! So in here, this is the galère d'Essine, beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. Really happy with those, and others developing around the back. But the Carnival, this one just doesn't know when to stop. A couple there, oopsie, and then through, a couple more there, and then just a little bit beyond there's a couple more. So yeah, I think I've got I counted 12 fruits on this plant, so that's really rather fabulous. Can I get through? Can I find somewhere to put my foot that isn't on a fruit? Yay! And here we have the Violina, which is also producing beautifully. I haven't looked down here for a couple of days. Oh, masses. Oh, I've got some calendula to harvest too, haven't I? Hang on, let's just hop over. Where did I see? Oh, hey Poppy. Yeah, there's loads coming on this one as well. And what I love, this is what I was saying about how in August everything's kind of at its most sort of lush, bountiful in terms of growth, and then give it another few weeks and all this foliage will start to die back, start to wither and shrivel away, and that's when all the treasures, all these beauties will finally be revealed. Fantastic. Because I've had such a fantastic harvest of flowers and petals already from the main calendula bed, I've decided in the cathedral bed I'm going to deadhead, but rather than harvest any of the blooms which are still blooming, I'm going to leave them, because actually this morning they've been a hive of activity with bees and hoverflies and all sorts of other buzzing beauties. So, like I say, I'm going to leave them for the insects, because I've had so many for me that, yeah, I can spare a few. And I think for next year, hopping over, yeah, I think it's a good lesson for next year. If I keep my main calendula bed for me to harvest for my needs, and then keep having other calendula dotted around the place like this for the insects. So yeah, some for me, some for them. Let's be a caring, sharing world. Buzz, 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 the bed goes. It really is a lovely thing to do on such a quiet morning. In fact, it's so quiet, I'm going to stop nattering and enjoy the quiet. Another bit of harvesting I want to do today is my chickpeas. That's the borlotti that wasn't supposed to climb, and it's climbing. Some, as you can see, have completely dried and gone over. Others are still a bit green. Now, this is my 3rd year doing chickpeas. The first year was fantastic. Massive amount of germination, massive amount of pod setting, huge harvest, brilliant. Did it again last year, again had absolutely great germination, masses of pods formed, and then the mice beat me to it. So when I came to harvest, pretty much every single pod was empty. So bearing in mind I don't want that to happen again, and how pitiful they are anyway, I'm going to have them out today and then think about what I can put in their space. So literally all I'm going to do is have it out of the ground, and then where I've got one little branch like that, say, and I've got my bucket, literally all I do is run my hand down it like that to have them off. There's some leaves in there as well, but it just means that I don't take all that bit of plant home. I just take home a bucket. I can't even see if you can see because the sun's so bright. Yeah, just take home my bucket like that, and then pod them when I get home. Just to warn anybody who hasn't grown them before and is thinking about it. As I said last year and the year before, I'm pretty sure, they're an absolute devil to pod. They take ages. But you know, if you've got friends round, if you all just sit around the kitchen table chatting, what a lovely thing to do together. Invite your friends round for a podding party, and keep them supplied with cups of tea or their beverage of choice, and you'll have it done in no time. So here is my bean arch at a very jaunty angle. If you remember, it should be here. Here's the path that it was over. It should be here, but it's leaning over there. Now what I haven't looked at yet is, have the supports actually snapped down there? Oh dear, look, it's mashed. It's taken out a tomato with it as well. Right. Oh, how irksome and annoying. Let's just see. This is one of the flying buttresses. That's completely come undone. So maybe if I get that back tied in and then pull the ones on the far side tighter. Yeah, look, this one's off. The next one up has snapped. It was a bit of a hoolie yesterday. Right, yes, I think that's one of my first jobs. Poppy, are you going to help me, little girl, or are you just going to sit there semi-sunning yourself and semi-shading yourself? You going to help? I think that's a no. Right, let's go and find some string. So as they come up and as they start to flower, when they're at this stage, that's the perfect time for harvesting. Brilliant. But as you know, I save all my own seeds. So if I was to leave that and do nothing, eventually you'll see a seed head starts to form. So you can see where the petals are now drying up, and behind the petals in here, these sort of little green curls, that's your seeds starting to form. But at this stage, the seeds are really, really immature and they're not really going to do anything for you. Eventually, we go from that, all the petals will have dried up and fallen off, and you'll see the centre is starting to go a little bit brown. Oops, that's a bit of a mark. It's beginning to get to where it needs to go. And from that stage, it will then, it's very obvious, this sort of the little outside bits, you can sort of see and feel that they're getting really pretty dry. So from that stage then, and here we are at the harvesting for seed stage. Can you see that? So when they're good and brown and fairly dry like this, this is the stage I pick them, and then I hang them upside down in a paper bag to catch all those seeds. I'm just going to knock them off into my hand so you can see. Hang on a sec. So you'll get a lot of, actually, can you see very well? I'm not sure about the light. Should we go outside for a second so you can see? That's better. Really, really bright. I can't see a thing, but hopefully you can. So at that stage, that, when it's all dry, that's what I chuck in my soil come May. However, amongst this, there's lots of rubbish too from the actual flower head. What you're actually after are, let's separate a couple. These things which look like, I don't know, fossilised worm droppings or something. These here. So that's your seed. It really, really could not be more simple. They grow so easily. You can harvest masses and masses and masses for your skincare throughout the year and still be left with a load to let go to seed, gather your own seed. You'll have loads. Hang on, let's come off and see you again. I'm really, really squinting. Honestly, it couldn't be easier. So you'll end up with masses and masses of seed, which is lovely because then you can give some to friends. What a lovely Christmas present to give to someone is a packet of your homegrown seeds. It may be one of the little seed packets. I showed you how I make my seed packets earlier in the year. So yeah, give it a go. Grow them for their beauty. Grow them for their wonderful, wonderful skin benefits. Save your own seed. Save a fortune. Save the planet. Just thinking ahead to winter, something I mentioned earlier in the year about for each one of my big beds, which is about 4 metres this way, 6 metres that way, I want to divvy up each of these beds into 1, 2, 3, hey Poppy, 4, 5 smaller beds, like the size of the calendula beds, so maybe a little bit more than 1 metre wide, and then have my cardboard paths, and then have the whole plot like that. So from now on, all my big beds would contain 5 smaller beds and a path, so I don't ever have to dig the path bits up again. And where I have got beds, I can just keep adding muck as and when I can get it, so hopefully doing a bit less digging each year, which would be great. So what I'm thinking about now is I'm starting to imagine the autumn and the winter and clearing these beds, because at the moment my beds don't all have 5 little beds like this. So when I do get a lot of stuff cleared as we go into winter, what I'll do is I'll put a stake in here and a stake right at the top end of the garden with a long piece of string, and just get them all measured out and get a load more cardboard and put down what are going to become permanent paths. It'd be nice to have little brick paths here one day, but cardboard will suffice for now. Yeah, get all that laid out, and then I'll be ready to hit the ground running next spring. Can't wait. Good morning, lovely people. Welcome to September. It's a really beautiful, warm, bright, sunny morning today. But you can definitely, or I can definitely sense that we're on the cusp of the change of season. I love September and October in the garden, generally speaking, because, I don't know, that change in the smell, the change in the light, it's all beautiful. And of course, they're the months for the big harvests for me. Now, of course, throughout the whole summer, I've been picking, bits and pieces here, just picking enough to sort of eat fresh for a couple of days, and I come and pick again. Apart from the tomatoes, which have been getting preserved. But yeah, September heralds the big harvest for me, so it will be lots of beans and tomatoes, and then as we go into October, the squash. So I'm really, really excited. And you can see in the garden as well, the garden is right on that cusp of starting to look kind of tired from all the hard work it's done this summer. This beautiful, absolutely gorgeous mop of cosmos. Do you remember way back when? And I had 2 teeny tiny spindly little plants from 2 sowings, and I was really concerned. Well, they may be later than everybody else's on this site, but by golly, they're pretty, and they're giving a lovely, lovely little show. And it's so nice to have them here next to the path, so anyone arriving on site gets an eyeful. And then, really late on, I did a 3rd sowing, and this one now is just starting to come into bud. So if I look after them and regularly deadhead, there's no reason why I shouldn't have blooms here right through till Christmas. One of the things I love about this time of year is how, as foliage starts to die back and as the veggies and fruits start to ripen, all little treasures are revealed. So I'm going to have any and all of the ripe peppers off, because even if I don't use them in, the next couple of days, I will chop them and freeze them, because I did that last year and it worked really well. I'm also having off today, these are the du long de Londe peppers, my little French peppers. Now they look like a chilli, they're not. They are a sweet pepper. So they're like wrinkly stockings that are half falling down, aren't they? But look at the colours we're starting to get at this time of year. Aren't they gorgeous? Isn't this a happy sight? Look, all the leaves are starting to die back now, and all the squash are starting to be revealed. Let me just come through here, bigger gap. Look, there's tons and tons and tons of them. Actually, I don't know if you can make them out because it's so bright, but I can just see gorgeous squash everywhere. Yay! And of course the beautiful rouge vifs. Oh, I can't wait. I reckon, someone was asking me about this the other day, I try to leave them as long as possible. More sun, more ripening, and I generally reckon to harvest within the first couple of weeks of October. If there's a threat of frost, then I'll get them in before then, but I don't think we're due any frost. So they can all sit here in the sunshine for a little bit longer, and then in anywhere between 2 and 4 weeks' time, I'll come back to harvest. Look, masses more tomatoes to pick. Right, I think I need to get on with picking, don't I? Oh, it's great though, isn't it? All these harvests that are glinting and gleaming at us when we walk into the garden. I think I was saying it at the beginning of September how I love this time of year when the foliage starts to die back and you get your first glimpse of all those hidden squash. I'm beyond excited for the squash harvest this year. Oh my giddy goodness. But also this year, with having put up the teepees for the squash, wow, the garden is going to look so flat when they all come down. I always think that when I think that one's a bit hinky, as you're stringing them, so these have been hung up in the shed for ages, that I can just feel there's a bit of softness in it. So I'll set it aside, I'll have a look. If it's usable, I'll use it straight away or chop it and freeze it. But if there's anything slightly hinky with any of your onions, do not try and store them. If it's got even a little bit of rot in there, before you know it, will spread to everything else. So, normally towards the end of September, taking the bean poles down, the garden suddenly looks really bare. But this year, obviously with having the 2 bean arches and all the teepees, it's gonna look super duper flat. Right, that's one done, and now I've got about another 20 to do, including all the reds. You could trim all these bits if you wanted, if you were looking for a little showy off fancy pants string. I don't bother, because I can't be bothered. Right, let's find somewhere to hang it in the shed. Oh, the poor old Coco de Paimpol. Definitely one of my disappointing harvests this year. I don't know whether it was the heat, the drought, but they were really stunted. I mean, you know, I got a harvest, thank goodness. So I got a little bit to eat, and the main thing is there were a few little stragglers left that I could save for seed. When I came back to the garden a few days ago after my fairly prolonged absence, these poor beetroot were looking very sad, as in dying of thirst, bless them. So they've had a good soak and they've picked up quite a bit. Throughout the season as they've been growing, I do, by way of thinning them, I take the tops. So when the tops are really young, I take those for, add them to all sorts, salads, smoothies, or what have you. And then again now, as I'm cropping, that I did sow them really closely. So as I'm cropping them, I sort of do alternate ones, and then the ones that are left, they've got a bit more space, do a bit more growing. They're looking lovely. So, isn't that a happy sight? Oh, beautiful, beautiful colour of the stalks. The leaves at this stage, they're a bit beyond using. I mean, yeah, they're pretty manky. So I'll just twist all the tops off and put those in the compost today, and take these home for my soup. I'm going to take home, about half a kilo. That should do it. Brilliant. And now I need a fennel, and I think there is one fennel that hasn't bolted. Fennel's been a huge disappointment this year. Partly because they were so tiddly, but also because they bolted. It's sort of inevitable because we've been so hot and so dry. But this one hasn't. It's on the verge. So I'm jolly well going to have it out and make the most of it. It's probably going to be a little bit tougher than I would want if I was, say, having it for risotto, which is my favourite way of using it. But in a soup that's going to be completely blended down, it'll be fine because I'm going to get all that flavour, all that goodness, but any of that toughness, that texture will be blitzed out. So, good. That's a happy little harvest for a few meals in the next couple of days. Right. Do you ever get that thing when you've got a job to do and just don't know quite how to tackle it? So, here, and on the opposite side where it hasn't fallen, I've got these metal stakes. So I think for now what I'm going to do is just clear all this front end. Yeah, just get stuck in and do it. There's no for it. Well, that's nearly halfway down on this row. This row. That'll be much quicker because there's hardly anything on there. I'm going to leave the other half standing. I might go back 1 or 2 more canes. Leave the other half standing. Harvest loads now, but then I am going to leave a few on to see if they will dry for seed. Take all of that out. If only every job in the garden could be speeded up and have jaunty music put to it, eh? Right, it's a really warm day, so I think it's time to have a glass of water. Making the most of this beautiful sunshine. I can't do any more work for the minute because I've been pinned down. Look, Poppy's paw on my leg. Are you trying to tell me that I should just chill for a minute, hey Poppy? Oh, beautiful girl. I love these moments of quiet, blue sky, sunshine. We won't have them for much longer, making the most of them. I need to get back to the beans, I'm only halfway through. I just thought I'd come and have a quick sit down and a glass of water because it is quite warm. And then Poppy decided to keep me here. Oh my goodness, they've got it done. That's the first bed done. Oh, I need to go around the corner. Get these emptied out. And then, get into the cathedral bed. Go on, bang. Barrow number 2. All from the cathedral. Yay! Right, let's park this lot. Oh my goodness! They don't all fit on the table. Oh my goodness, this really is a happy sight. This has wiped out all rubbish from this morning. I did a count. What did I guesstimate a bit earlier? Was it 30 or something? I've got 49 squash. That's 1 squash a week for the next year. And some of them, obviously something like the Rouge Vif, the Gala, they're whoppers. So it's going to be squash with every meal for the next year. I'm not complaining. Yes, I'm beyond happy and I'm beyond grateful for some good stuff this year. Now, there's one very, very important rule when you're digging up your potatoes. Absolutely golden rule, and I can't overemphasize it. That is, when you're getting your potatoes out, you must adopt a pirate accent. Because let's face it, we're looking for buried treasure. Like I say, I have no idea how these are going to be, and frankly, I've got little hopes for them. Oh, that's a peanut. Some of these that died back, I'm just wondering if they died back before they actually produced anything. Oh, despite that rain, this ground is so heavy still. Oh, another peanut there. Okay. Nothing. Let's try one that's still a bit green. So, as I was mentioning the other day, these ones that are still green, the skins won't have had a chance to cure yet. They normally cure as the plant is dying back. So what I will do, if there are any under here, forgot the pirate rule. If there's any under here, I'm going to set them out in the sun, because it's a beautiful sunny day today. Set them out in the sun and let the sun cure the skins for me. Arr! Potatoes, there be potatoes. Okay, spacing for the broad beans. I'm really naughty. I ignore the rule books. I plant them in rows. The rows are about 25 centimetres apart. So I'll get 4 rows in this new bed, and all my new perma beds are going to be about a metre or so wide, so I can manage them from both sides without actually having to stand on them. Yay! Now, the rule books, the packets, etc. would say for each double row, leave a metre between your next double row. That's crazy. I am not giving up a metre of my precious space. Maybe that was once upon a time in the days when a tractor had to go down. I don't know, but I certainly don't. And then in terms of actual planting, I pop them down about 5 centimetres. Sorry, can you hear me under there with the rain? 5 centimetres! So, gently dib a hole, pop it in. In terms of spacing within the row, it's about an octave apart. For those of you who don't play piano, I would say that's about 15 centimetres, about 7 or 8 inches or so. So yeah, if you would prefer to do it by the rule book and leave a metre between your double rows, go for it. I've done it this way for the last 2 or 3 years, and I've had fantastic harvests. So, you know, it was a bit of an experiment the first time doing them so closely. It worked, so I carry on doing it. You know, even though it hasn't stopped raining all day, I just love days like today. I suppose part of it is because I'm planting again. It's almost like spring. I think it's that combination of having time at this time of year to nourish the soil, to replenish things, to have that bit of a tidy up. But not only are there still loads of things growing, but we're putting in things to start growing. So there will be beautiful new green shoots to look at. Oh, quite possibly in a matter of days. So yeah, even if the weather's a bit inclement, I mean obviously it's not lashing with rain today, it's drizzle, but even if your weather's a bit inclement, go on, treat yourself to a day in the garden, or at least a morning or an afternoon in the garden. You'll be amazed how much you can get done. And then that evening, as you're sitting back in a hot tub, perhaps with a glass in your hand, you can reflect on the lovely day you had in the garden, all the little jobs you got done, or maybe not even got jobs done, but just enjoyed being out in the open air, listening to the birds, observing the insects, there's still so much life and colour in the garden. I love it. Well, you can see it's certainly not what you would call compost. They have broken down a little bit, and I think, yeah, it's just shy of a year that they went in, so I reckon, like I said, the ground is moist, the leaves, these leaves are really moist. Oh, let's just do it. And look at this colour and brightness and gorgeous light today. I mean, who would have imagined this for, well, getting on for the end of October. And there's me in my fleece and hoodie this morning. I think that deck chair is calling me. Yeah, time for a sit down. Oh, well, that really is a minuscule harvest. I've had a couple out already, but that's it. So, I haven't counted them, but that's in a little under 4 square metres. Pretty much 1 cob per plant this year, as opposed to 2 or 3 like last year. Never mind, it's something, isn't it? And in such a tricky year, I'm grateful for everything. So, time to get these prepared for the final bit of drying back in the shed. The theme for today, apart from that helicopter, is go slowly, go quietly, let the garden do its magic on me. Let's also see what it's managed to do by way of roots in a couple of months. So you can see there's some really little fine roots have developed. It was nicely rooted when Jimmy sent it to me, but obviously these roots are teeny tiny fine. So what I'm thinking is that once it's in now, I'm probably going to give it a, hello Rusty, I'm probably going to stake it in some way, because obviously it hasn't got anything like the kind of roots to hold it up and withstand the winds. So yeah, let's give it a good firming in. I'm sort of treating it like any other brassica, with that bit of top check, in that a nice firm bottom, nice and firm. And I think also, because this has been at home for 2 months, I've kept it actually in a north-facing window with the window open, and it does get quite cool, chilly air coming through. But even so, I'm thinking that I might just, I don't know, for a week or 2 weeks, I think I'll just pop a little bit of fleece or something around it, because it has gone really quite chilly at night time especially, and I don't want to shock the poor little thing, because firstly it's a beautiful prize cutting, secondly they're really, really expensive to buy. So yay, in goes the Taunton Dean, and I shall look forward to many, many years of harvesting it and taking cuttings to share, just as this cutting was shared to me. Right, let's go and find a stake and some fleece. It's always so nice to arrive and be greeted by such gorgeous greenery. I've obviously had that calabrese broccoli away the other day, and very yummy it was too. I don't think it's going to be long now before I start having some cabbages away. Gorgeous, yes. That one is saying, eat me, eat me. Oh, but these Cavallo Nero, just such a gorgeous vegetable. They seem to want to grow and to love to grow. Isn't that a fantastic sight? These crazy pimply leaves. Oh, I love them. I could quite happily eat this stuff every single day of the week. I think that's the other thing I like about this time of year, is that any little bits of growth and greenery, they seem almost extra special. You know, when you compare with the summer when everything is green and abundant, I think it's easy to overlook things. So that now when there is less around, suddenly an individual plant seems so much more beautiful and lush. Oh, love it. Empty, empty, empty. Actually, let me come to the other end because the sun is trying to shine. I've literally just finally got these two ex-tomato beds sorted for winter. You remember I dumped a load of compost on here. Oh, that looks like it needs some more bricks. Well, actually, in the end, I dragged that compost off and I did give the ground a bit of a tickle because I have ever so slightly moved where the paths are. I'll explain that a bit more in a minute when we go to the next bed. So they've had a bit of a tickle and loads of sort of half composted stuff from lying around all over the garden underneath that. I didn't use the leaves because I want the leaves for the next bed. So I've literally used whatever I can lay my hands on that's lying around the garden. And it looks like I'm going to start some hugel culture, doesn't it? They'll store there for the winter. So yes, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 of my new permanent beds. Yay! And you'll see they correspond with 1, 2, 3, 4 beds over here. There's the 5th. And the 5th one for this. Bed number 2, the 5th perma bed, is the one that's been sown with the broad beans. These nets have been mashed a million times already, so, oh, poor little broad beans. That's why I want to steal that netting and hoop system to get onto here, because it will be a bit stronger and hopefully put the foxes off, because what I don't want is little teeny broad beans trying to come up and the foxes just mashing the lot. This is, I think it's water piping. Oh, you'll have seen it on loads of people's allotments. I was really lucky to get this out of a pile of rubbish. I really don't like spending money. But more than that, let's recycle and reuse what we've got. Now that the nets are off, I can get to these leeks and have them out, because honestly, they're just absolutely rubbish. There's one of them that's flopped over completely, which suggests to me that it's full of leaf miner. Yep, leaf miner. I'll give you a close-up in a second. Can you see just below the surface there. It's like a speck of dirt. I'll peel back and reveal. That, my friends, there, that is the allium leaf miner that does so much damage. Can you pick that up there? There's a couple of holes. That's some more. There. Basically what happens is you sort of strip and strip and strip the leaves back to try and find some solid leak. And you just keep going down and down and down through the leaves. And they're, oh yeah, you can really clearly see it there. They're just all the way through. Ah, vile, vile. Look at that. Whole crop totally ruined, despite taking preventative measures of some companion planting and the mesh. So yeah, it's too heartbreaking now the last couple of years to bother anymore with leeks. So that's it. No more leeks in my garden. Out you come. Oh dear, this one's not too bad. Oh, isn't that a lovely sight though? Beautiful new, bright, acid lime green growth. Yay! Hooray for new growth this time of year. It looks, unfortunately, like I've missed the boat with Cosmos seed gathering. They were doing absolutely great, and then we had that sudden real drop in temperature about, I don't know, it's about 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's when I wasn't around, and I'd left the last of the flowers in order to go to seed, but it looks like they've all been knocked off by that frost. So I will go through, as I'm going through them, have a look, see if there's anything that's salvageable. But otherwise, they're done for. So they might as well come out. One of the jobs I really wanted to get done today is to look after my pelargoniums, geraniums. We'll have that argument till kingdom come, won't we? They are quite tough little plants, but they will get killed with frost. So we've been getting chillier and chillier here. I've been really pushing the boat with this one about getting it done. So today is the day. Literally all I'm going to do is put them into smaller pots and take them home. And that will be perfectly happy sitting indoors at home over the winter, ready for a whole new lease of life next summer. So if you think about it, this was a packet of organic seed. I think there were maybe 20 seeds in the packet. 20 seeds? I'm not sure, I can't remember now. And it cost about £2.50. So in theory that's I can't be bothered doing maths. 2 plants for 25p, so 12.5p per plant. But then if you think about all the cuttings you can take, how much does a pelargonium cost in the shops to buy? I don't know. I've never bought one. Well, not bought one in many a year. So yeah, I think it's well worth looking after them. Have a go at maybe raising some from seed. But certainly if you bought some from a garden centre this year, certainly have a go at overwintering them and then getting some cuttings together in the spring. See, these look much more like sprouts ought to look. I'm going to just take these stalks off as well. In fact, whoopsie, I'd say they're almost of an eating size. There's my fingertip. Yeah, they're sort of like a big fat toe size. Oh, I don't think I should mention the toes and sprouts. That's going to slightly put me off eating them. But yeah, they look considerably more like sprouts should look. So it's exactly the same seed. It's grown Ninja. Seed was sown at the same time. It was a third sowing, I think. Either second or third sowing. So they did go in later. So like with the other ones that I just showed you, I wasn't expecting really anything before Christmas. But there seems to be no rhyme or reason as to why this one has grown so much better than the others. Oh, I can't resist. I'm going to have one off. God, look at that lovely, lovely sprout. Oh, I do love my sprouts. Any which way, but the best way, roasted. Yum, yum, yum. I can't resist. A wee little handful for my tea tonight. I find that if I'm struggling, I promise myself a reward for when I get to the end of a length. So, a cup of tea, a jammy dodger, or an other bicky of choice. Look at that. Doesn't take much time. Morning, Rusty. How are you today, buddy? Do you want to get the spare fork and give me a hand? And your keep. What do you think? Well, I'm not quite at the end, but I think I've earned my reward. And my reward is going to be a cuddle with the cat in the shed. Yay! Should we go have a cuddle, Rust? Yeah, come on. That's it. I'm going off for a cuddle. So there we have it. One full year in the garden. I do hope you enjoyed watching that all together to give a good overview. I've certainly enjoyed putting it together, looking back over the course of this year. My goodness, there have been some ups and downs, I can tell you. And I finished the year with a few disappointments. Carrots haven't been great. I mean, they're okay. Parsnips, leeks. What else did I struggle with? Oh, quite a number of things. But you know, considering that I started the year on crutches, that we had one of our worst droughts in decades, and it wasn't just the drought but the heat that came with it, I think it's amazing that anything grew. Yay! I got structures finished, got my fence and deck finished. So actually I think it's been a pretty blooming marvellous year. And the main thing is, once again, throughout a whole year I've managed to feed myself by the work of my own hands, and that is unbelievably satisfying and rewarding, and just fills me with joy. So I'm going to say cheerio to you all now if you haven't fallen asleep. I look forward to next year so much, and I look forward to sharing it with you guys too. If nothing else from watching this video, please get out there and grow some food for yourself. I know that lots of you do, but if you're only just getting your first plot, or you've only got a little bit of balcony space, hurrah! That's some space to grow your own food. Have a go. It really is the most rewarding thing you can do with your time. I'll see you all again really soon, I hope. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves, and happy sowing and growing.